Mapleshade is a thick-furred tortoiseshell and white she-cat with a scarred muzzle and amber eyes and a white tail. She was born in ThunderClan. As an apprentice, she was mentored by a Tom named Bloomheart and was known to be keen and loyal. During her journey to the Moonstone in her apprenticeship, she was excited at being in WindClan's territory and hoped that they'd be challenged by a WindClan patrol. Eventually, she earned her warrior name. Mapleshade was a warrior under Oakstar's leadership. She had a reputation for being skillful and courageous, and both she and her clanmates thought that she might one day become ThunderClan's deputy and then leader. But her downfall began when she fell in love with a RiverClan warrior named Appledusk. They often met at a sycamore tree, though it got difficult after their clans fought over Sunning Rocks. Appledusk had knocked a ThunderClan warrior named Birchface into the river, and Birchface and his apprentice drowned, causing even more tension between the two clans. It was around this time that Mapleshade realized that she was expecting Appledusk's kits. She gave them the news at a gathering, and noticed afterward that his clanmate Reedshine seemed particularly close to him. The following day, Mapleshade announced her pregnancy to the clan deputy so that she would be excused from duties, and the news spread like wildfire, particularly speculation about the kit's father. Mapleshade said only that she was raising the kits alone. Frecklewish, who was the sister of Birchface, the warrior who had died fighting Appledusk, asked Mapleshade if this meant that Birchface was the father. Mapleshade, not wanting to lie, but also not wanting to tell the truth just yet, remained silent. This made Frecklewish certain that she'd been right, and she offered to help raise the kits. Mapleshade told herself that she hadn't lied, and she believed that this would help the kits be accepted by the clan. So all she said to Frecklewish was that Frecklewish had answered her prayers, that she and the kits would no longer be alone. Mapleshade gave birth to 3 kits, 2 Toms that she named Patchkit and Larchkit, and a she-cat named Petalkit. Frecklewish and her father Oakstar doted on Mapleshade and her kits, believing them to be their kin. Mapleshade continued to avoid contradicting them. One day, when the kits were 2 moons old, Mapleshade was unhappy about them being compared to Birchface, so she brought them to the river. Although they clearly lived up to their half-RiverClan heritage with how much they enjoyed it, Patchkit swam out too far and had to be rescued by Appledusk. Appledusk privately told Mapleshade that the kits were wonderful, and that he was proud of her. On the way back to camp, they were met by the ThunderClan medicine cat, Ravenwing, who had watched the whole thing. He told her that he'd had an omen of a stream washing 3 reeds into his den, which he felt meant that the river had brought 3 cats into ThunderClan that didn't belong. Specifically, between this omen and what he had just witnessed at the river, he guessed that Mapleshade's kits had been fathered by Appledusk. He warned her that he could not lie now that he knew the truth, and that their clanmates deserved to know. When they got back to camp, Mapleshade was confronted by her clanmates. Oakstar and Frecklewish were particularly upset that Mapleshade had let them believe that Birchface was the father, when all along the kits had actually been sired by his murderer. Frecklewish attacked her, and Oakstar exiled Mapleshade from the clan for betraying her clan and lying. To Mapleshade's shock, even her former mentor Bloomheart believed her to be a traitor and wanted her and the kits gone. Mapleshade left for their kits, but before she departed, she promised her clan that they would one day regret banishing her. Mapleshade decided that she would bring the kits to Appledusk and RiverClan, hoping that they could stay there until ThunderClan one day changed their minds. The river was already unusually high that leaf fall due to rain, and it was a downpour by the time they reached it, but all they had to do was cross the stepping stones and they'd be in RiverClan territory. As they crossed, however, a wave of water swept downstream and knocked Mapleshade and her kits off the rocks. She tried to save them, but the water was too powerful. Some RiverClan cats rescued her and then went in after the kits, but it was too late. By the time they found the kits, Patchkit, Petalkit, and Larchkit had drowned. Appledusk admitted to his clan that he was the kid's father, claiming that his relationship with Mapleshade was a mistake that he'd always regret. Darkstar refused Mapleshade's plea to stay in RiverClan. Appledusk, too, insisted she leave, blaming her for the kits' deaths. Mapleshade promised him that he would regret treating her this way. The following day, Mapleshade could hear her kits in her mind, wailing for help. She felt a pull to ThunderClan territory and wandered back there, thinking about how this was all Ravenwing's fault for telling the clan the truth. While in her former territory, she encountered the apprentice Nettlepaw, who gave her some herbs and mentioned that Frecklewish had seen her fall in the river, but they hadn't known the kits died. Mapleshade vowed to avenge the deaths of her kits. Her first victim would be Ravenwing. She knew he would go to the Moonstone that night and ambushed and killed him there. The other medicine cats buried him nearby, and as the final part of her revenge against him, Mapleshade exposed his body for a hawk to feast on. Afterwards, she only heard 2 of her kits calling and believed that meant one of them had been avenged. The second cat to pay for her kits' deaths would be Frecklewish. Mapleshade lured her to Sunning Rocks and accused her of wanting the kits dead. Frecklewish was furious enough to attack, and Mapleshade dodged and let an adder bite her. Refusing to help, she left, allowing their clanmates to bring Frecklewish back to the camp that now had no medicine cat. Just like with Ravenwing's death, Mapleshade heard one less kit crying for her. The third kit, she decided, would be avenged with Appledusk's death. She spied on him in RiverClan territory, where she overheard the fact that his clanmate Reedshine was expecting his kits. She trapped his apprentice Perchpaw to lure him out, and finally she came face to face with Appledusk and prepared to kill him. Reedshine arrived just then, and Mapleshade decided to go after her instead, but Appledusk leaped in the way, taking the fatal blow himself. As he fell to the ground, Perchpaw attacked Mapleshade, giving her a mortal wound too. She vowed to Reedshine that she would watch over Appledusk's descendants and punish them for what had happened to her, promising that her vengeance would never be over, even though she no longer heard her kits crying for her. She made her way to a farm near RiverClan territory, where she died of her wound. Instead of StarClan, Mapleshade found herself in the dark forest. She wasn't disappointed, however. There, she would find other cats who had been wronged by the clans, and together they would wreak their vengeance upon them. To ThunderClan, Mapleshade became a bad memory, a story to frighten apprentices with, and by the time of Oakstar's successor Dostar, Mapleshade had been mostly forgotten. During Dostar's leadership of ThunderClan, Mapleshade gave the young medicine cat apprentice Goosefeather a battle training session, but after he had a vision of her crimes and confronted her, she simply told him that he was doomed and left him. True to her promise to Reedshine, Mapleshade attempted to haunt the bloodline of her former mate. She started visiting Reedshine and Appledusk's great-grandson after he broke his jaw and had been renamed Crookedkit, letting him believe that she was a StarClan cat and telling him that he had a great destiny ahead. She'd even help him become the leader of his clan one day and have power over all the clans, she told him, as long as he made one promise to her, that he would put his clan above all else, including his own wants. He promised. And so it was that she began training Crookedkit, later Crookedpaw, and then Crookedjaw, in his dreams. She was a demanding mentor and could be abrasive in her comments, but under her training he became a skillful fighter. She never hesitated to remind him of his promise, however, whenever he showed interest in anything else, especially his denmate, Willowbreeze. This even led to her testing Crookedjaw by leading some two-legs to their patrol, resulting in Willowbreeze being captured. Crookedjaw rescued her, and Mapleshade was furious enough to attack him. This made him question whether she really was from StarClan, but as always when he grew upset with her, she convinced him that she only cared about his destiny and was trying to help him. When Crookedjaw's mother lay dying, Mapleshade convinced him to leave her and join the other warriors in fighting the dog that had wounded her. And when the deputy Shellheart was retiring, and the clan leader was deciding upon a new deputy, Mapleshade broke the jaw of some prey on the freshkill pile, leading the clan to believe it was an Omen, and so Crookedjaw was made the next deputy. Afterward, Mapleshade brought him to train with other warriors of the Dark Forest. This was when it was finally revealed to him that he hadn't been training with StarClan after all. He told her he didn't need any more training, and Mapleshade warned him that he could never break free. He didn't visit her anymore after that, but she came to him when he and his leader Hailstar were fighting against rats. She knocked him away from Hailstar when Crookedjaw tried to help him. Hailstar lost his final life, and Crookedjaw wondered if he would have been able to save him if Mapleshade had not been there. As clan deputy, Crookedjaw became the next leader. Mapleshade taunted him for the sacrifices she made for him, and again warned him that this wasn't over. The next time she appeared to him, she revealed to him that the new kits found by Oakhart weren't actually rogues, but rather the half-clan kits of Oakheart and Bluefur. After Crookedstar's mate Willowbreeze died after giving birth to their kits, Crookedstar sought out Mapleshade himself to challenge her. They fought, and she won, but she told him that letting him live was better revenge. She revealed her history to him, and that he was descended from her former mate, and left him, gleefully telling him that since she was dead, he couldn't hurt her. Despite him turning his back on her, she continued to train with the other Dark Forest cats, and even some living ones such as Thistleclaw. She began watching the ThunderClan kit Tigerkit, who would later earn the warrior name Tigerclaw from the day he was born. She came to tease Crookedstar again one last time when his one surviving daughter, Silverstream, died. He wouldn't let himself be goaded this time, however. He told her calmly that he still had his clan and his loved ones waiting in StarClan, while she had nothing. After Tigerclaw's attempt to take over ThunderClan's leadership failed, Mapleshade came to him in a dream and introduced herself to him, revealing that she'd been watching him his whole life. She told him that ShadowClan needed a powerful leader, and that after that, the Dark Forest would be waiting, and she proceeded to give him advice until he became ShadowClan's leader. Over the seasons, the warriors of the Dark Forest decided to take revenge on the clans, which is exactly what Mapleshade had been hoping for, and she became one of the leaders of the rising army. Many of the Dark Forest warriors feared her, although, since she had been there for such a long time and had been forgotten, Mapleshade began to gradually fade away. Many moons after the clans had moved to the lake, Mapleshade met the ThunderClan apprentice Ivypaw when she collided with her in the Dark Forest. Mapleshade wasn't very impressed, and seemed to try to kill her in training at their next encounter, but as Ivypool earned her warrior name and continued to train in the Dark Forest, Mapleshade began to respect the young cat more, and told her that she'd fight beside her when it came to battle. As the fight drew closer, Mapleshade helped plan the attack with the other Dark Forest leaders, and especially approved of the idea of attacking ThunderClan first and going for the nursery. When the great battle came, Mapleshade did indeed attack ThunderClan, her birth clan, and she went straight for Sandstorm, the mate of the current ThunderClan leader Firestar. Sandstorm had a mate and kits and a happy life in ThunderClan, everything Mapleshade herself had once wanted. She nearly killed her when the StarClan cat Spottedleaf intervened and knocked her away. Mapleshade couldn't believe that Spottedleaf had done that, since Sandstorm had stolen Firestar's love for her. Spottedleaf replied that Sandstorm made him happy, so Mapleshade attacked Spottedleaf and killed her spirit. Both Firestar and Sandstorm fought her next, and she fled the battle. Ultimately, the Dark Forest lost. Many seasons later, a StarClan cat named Ashfur entered the Dark Forest and asked its remaining residents for help. Mapleshade didn't know or care what it was that he wanted, but she was eager to see the clans in StarClan destroyed, and he even promised them that he'd be able to help them possess a living body like he had. She liked the idea of taking over a young she-cat's body so that she could taste live prey and draw blood in fights once more. Mapleshade obeyed Ashfur's orders, helping to chase down and fight the living clan cats. For a while, she helped guard the SkyClan warrior Ripspring, but after Firestar possessed him and killed one of the other guards, Darkstripe, she fled. When it came to the final battle, the Dark Forest warriors versus the StarClan and living clan cats, Mapleshade fought in Ashfur's defense. She faced the ThunderClan warrior Bristlefrost and struck a potentially fatal wound to the young she-cat's neck. But then Bristlefrost pushed Ashfur into the strange black water of the Dark Forest, erasing them both from existence. As Ashfur's mind-controlled spirits began to become aware of their surroundings, Mapleshade realized that the battle had been lost, and ran. As of right now, she is still somewhere in the Dark Forest. As we have seen from her history, she has never given up her thirst for vengeance. It's likely only a matter of time until we see her again.